Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to your magical moon message. This is the Peace Dealer. Moon is in Leo. Sun is in Cancer. Second house manifesting light. I have a whole bunch of shit to say and only 15 minutes to say it because Instagram gives me a 15-minute limit. And shout out to those of you watching me on YouTube and blah, 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 blah. All right, first thing I want to start off. And you know what? Every fucking magical moon message that I start off, I'm just going to start off with this reminder. You are in the apocalypse, okay? I know I'm just some nigga on the internet. I get it. But let me just remind you over and over with pure science in a world where this is still not nationally or internationally recognized. The fact that astrology is only recognized on social media channels is a disgrace to humanity. But I don't give a fuck. We're in the apocalypse cycle. I want you to think about everything that's happening now and mind those who are or don't mind or mind those who you see resisting this flow. Every single thing that you see happening, especially relative to pestilence, Pluto, war, Mars, death, Saturn, Grim Reaper, and of course, famine, Jupiter, that was in its fall in Capricorn, are meant to happen. King Conjuncting the North Node in Gemini, that came through the opposition years prior. And so that doesn't mean that you're meant to bow to what's happening. This is still an integrity test. Everything that is occurring is meant to happen. Your reaction is yours. Okay? Just because certain things are meant to happen doesn't mean that you're still not meant to respond authentically the way you're meant to respond. But I hope you know you're a part of an apocalypse cycle. This world, if you think about the world you are in, everything that led to this level of civilization, you see that infrastructure right here? Okay, that's the Albertsons there. This is an apartment complex. You see all these automobiles right here? That took centuries of building infrastructure. All of these cars represent different manufacturers. That's the Albertsons right there. You have to really start thinking about legacy and tradition because Pluto's in Capricorn. Everything that you see here didn't just pop up. It's literal decades and years of coding, mayoral, governal duties, a lot of shit you don't think about because you're purposely being made to be inundated with entertainment. If you think about sports, the tradition and legacy of sports, none of these are good and bad, by the way. I'm not saying any of these things are bad. You can even argue they're good because they've created structure. Sports, if you think about the traditions of football, and I don't mean soccer, I mean football, holler at me, oh my god, baseball, hockey, if you think about the tradition and legacy of what got teams to be up in here, all this is represented by Capricorn. It all constitutes a part of your world, whether you really choose to admit that or not. Even if you are against that, it's a part of your world because you've chosen to rebel against that. So, it's a part of you. And the reason why I have to really bring all of this stuff up is a large part of your identity is made up of all of these infrastructure and system establishing aspects of your reality. We're in an apocalypse cycle. All that shit is dead. While you're still living in this reality, simulating this, I need you to know that it's over. It's not just gonna up and vanish, but you're literally watching at its peak. It's so ironic where we're at the peak of this facet of civilization. We've already started a cycle, March 2020, March 21st, 2020, if you want the reference, where this cycle is beginning the process of, destroying all of this. The first of which is pestilence, it being in Capricorn, which means everything was engineered and planned. But outside of that, don't get so caught up on the good and bad of this. The reason why I'm mentioning this more so is when you remember that this is the context everything is happening in, it reminds you that we're in the revolution of the individual. Armageddon, or rather apocalypse, alluding to we're entering a whole new paradigm, we're entering a whole new world. Okay? And if you think about the light years away all these phenomena are, don't necessarily expect all this to happen overnight, but you're a part of a very unprecedented period. I wish I didn't take 5 minutes to explain all that, because what I really wanted to talk about is Armageddon. There's an outpouring of the spirit on both the side of evil and the side of good. And why did I mention the apocalypse cycle? Whether you know it or not, you're getting prepared for the final battle of Armageddon. You're getting prepared to really make decisions based on your character, not on trivial politics, not on stuff that's happening in the world. Things happen spiritually before they play out here. And, regardless of your opinions on how people live their life, you don't judge their soul. You don't. Did you know that? There's only one judge. So that's why we shouldn't judge each other. That's why we should mind our own business. I like to mind my business. I don't really like to be talking about what other people do in their life wrong or right. That's none of my fucking business. Crazy, right? I just mind my own. But really keep this in mind, because the people who you're dealing with, even people who you like, are not at all who you think they are. And that's because there's a revolution in the individual, there's a great awakening, and really be mindful here. Concepts of exorcism are not new. They've always existed. There's just a new twist in the way you understand it. And this brings me to my main topic, psychological subterfuge. Before I talk about that, this moon in Leo is manifesting golden light relative to the sincerity that this new moon Cancer established. As you feel your energy signature, it requires courage. The moon is on Leo with Mars and Venus. If there are weird idiosyncrasies and eccentricities that conventionally are different, you need to embrace that shit. This is not the transit to be like, oh, well, society doesn't like the way that I touch myself every day, and this is not necessarily right to do, or society doesn't like the way that I express myself out in the public. As long as what you're doing is sincere and you're taking responsibility and you're not blaming anyone, that's no one's fucking business. This moon is square Uranus in Taurus, which is literally grounding an individual element of uniqueness through eccentricities. Look up the word eccentricity. And opposite Saturn, establishing a new norm as such. And with this moon opposite Saturn, don't let pride get the best of you. If you stand in your own confidence, value, and royalty, you're not going to be insecure based off of other people's attempts to undermine your own confidence through psychological subterfuge. So let's talk about that, because with Pluto that's still king-kunxing all this energy as well, and the sun that's going opposite Pluto slowly but surely, you have to be mindful of the mind games that are being played, especially when you're dealing with individuals who are crossing the lines of your own psychic space, but then flipping it on you for reacting to them, for naturally defending your space. Be very mindful and wary of individuals who play good cop, bad cop with their own selves when you're being confronted for reacting a certain way, when the way you reacted was well justified because they should have never crossed the line. Be very, very mindful. This is a psychological aspect of gaslighting, solely used to make you question if what you're doing is actually, right or not. And I already said before, it's not about being right or wrong. It's about being real. So don't be afraid to be real, even if conventionally it's frowned upon in society. It's an apocalypse. So everything that's being upheld, you're supposed to release and let go anyway. Don't lose your integrity. Don't lose yourself. But you don't have to believe me. Throw away these pointless traditions. Like, I really want you to listen to people still harping on how stuff used to be back in the old day. Them motherfuckers don't know how cycles works. Imagine trying to harp upon traditions that were established 250 years ago. You sound like a fucking idiot. Like, come on. You have to tap in to what you're being led through. And I don't mean you watching this. I just mean in general, if anything, you watching this are experiencing the other way around as a revolutionary, being suppressed and misunderstood, because a lot of what you're doing uniquely is going against traditional norm. And you want to continue to do that because we're going opposite these energies, which oppositions and squares are outside influences. I'm not saying that you should respect the wisdom of our ancestors and what works. Like I said, live with integrity, but don't get surprised when you're trying to do old shit and you're wondering why it's not working when we're in a new cycle. Okay. Outside of that, you really want to be mindful of how a lot of this energy signature and psychic power will manifest creatively. Mars and Venus are like a paint and easel to creatively express the courage and confidence of your sincere feelings. Feelings being fuel, emotions, energy, emotion. This is going to strengthen the solar quality of the energy that empowers the strength of what you do. And through Virgo, how you do it. But I just kind of want to be clear here once again. You have a lot of lukewarm people out here. You have a lot of people who, and that's why these last days are so deceptive. People don't really care about the truth. People aren't willing to accept an inconvenient truth. People want the truth to fit what makes them feel good. And that's not why Gemini is 12th house to Cancer. The truth will always feel uncomfortable. This is why air is in the water houses of water signs. You have to address that while accepting what is real. And this is where personally you have a whole lot of people who have spiritual gifts. All right, spiritual gifts is not good or bad. Spiritual gifts just means gifts pertaining to your spirit. An evil pedophile can have spiritual gifts because they're utilizing their spirit. Okay, this whole connotation with spirituality meaning peaceful and good. Anyone who says that, don't take them seriously, because they're literal false prophets. There's a lot of these people masquerading out here, and you can't blame anybody if you're deceived, because by their fruit ye shall know them. And so someone that, and the reason why I'm saying this is there's going to be more of an outpouring of manifestation with the second house aspect. And don't let, because someone gave you an accurate reading or did something psychic, be the decider for you. Everyone has those abilities. This is what's going to deceive so many people who say what sounds true, but they're ultimately misleading you down the wrong path. I'm not here to necessarily argue with who you should worship or to tell you who the right God is. That's none of my fucking business. Your walk with God is your walk with God. And those who know their God will do exploits. I'm not necessarily here to argue with what the right way to make it to heaven is. I'm just here to do my part, and I really hope that you do your part, because moving forward, we're going through that opposition. And everything over the past 6 months was to set up for the extreme intensity of the next 6 months ahead. I'm saying this to empower you, because this is going to be where you integrate everything you've set up and built individually to now literally glow up and step into the next level. The sneak peek of Leo season, we're going to manifest with the moon in Leo. And this is the most important thing I can tell you. Take every single thing within you that intimidates you and at some unconscious level makes you feel like you're deviating from social normative expectations and traditional expectations, and champion that. Leo is the sun's champion. Okay, it's the king of fire. Sagittarius is the god of fire. All right, and Aries is the spark of fire. And I can't really stress enough that the square that the moon, Venus, and Mars is making to Uranus and Taurus is having you cultivate your own sense of uniqueness, not by being a rebel without a cause and just doing what isn't normal, but by standing for your own sincerity. I'm not saying that you should break the rules. I'm saying that you should stand up for your unique expression of authenticity, even if that unique expression is frowned upon by the rest of society. Thankfully, you know that what society is upholding is dead. It's not dying, it's dead. Like, America is less than a year away from a Pluto return. A whole lot of traditional standards are dead. If you really even break down a lot of the conflicts on both sides, it's people trying to beat a dead horse instead of embracing what we're headed into, which you're not going to know until full-on revolution breaks out, and we're going to see that near the end of Saturn and Aquarius. So manifest this courage. This is golden sincerity, and you're manifesting the courageous expression of new superpowers that this cycle has activated, so that when the moon goes into Virgo, you start the process of mastering these new abilities as we go through Leo season into Virgo season. prepare to surprise yourself, prepare to evoke more insecurity and inferiority from people who willingly decide to feel inferior to the ways you express yourself, because in their minds, in their puny little peanut processing sized brains, they have decided that your expression is uncomfortable to them, and that is now your problem. Newsflash, it's not your problem. And if people want to feel weak because that's what they do, they may not call it that, but call a spade a spade. You keep on being golden. You keep on killing it. Godspeed.